Today I'm going to explore differences. So I'm calling this one, Does It Make a Difference? And the answer to that is yes and no. And we're trying to close the loophole of logic through something called spiritual teaching. But we're all talking about the same thing. Whether you describe the physical universe as a physicist, or whether you're trying to describe the unseen frequencies of the spirit, you are describing the same thing. So does it make a difference? Not really, but when you understand the culmination of the two, it makes all the difference in the world. Stick around. The ego is the spirit. You are the ego. And a lot of spiritual teachers will say we're not the ego. And I say there is nothing you are not. You're the devil, you're God, you're a thought, you're the ego, you're the body, you're the non-body, and everything in between. It's hard to say you are everything, because everything in you seem like antonyms. The only thing we can do is be the subject, because when we make the subject into the object, it becomes subject to criticism. And this is sort of circuitous language, which is very, very difficult, because what we're trying to point to will not be pointed to, but perhaps maybe be pointed from. So, the ego is the spirit. You could say the ego is a sacred matter. The way I like to think of it, the way that makes me understand it, is that we understand that matter is energy slowed down. And that there is nothing truly stopped in the physical universe. Electrons are moving. Even space itself is packed with moving things. So the more minutiae you get, the more movement and energy you are able to detect. So, in the same way that energy and matter are synonyms, although they seem antonymic, they are synonyms. And spirit and ego are synonyms. So they're the same. You're the same. You're the spirit and the ego. You're the human and you're God. You're divine and you are human. You are the human, you are the doer and the being. And so what we're trying to point out is where differences cease, where there is no difference between the outside world and the inside world. So if there's no difference between energy and matter, that means everything is energy. Yet we can detect it as if we are not energy. This is what's interesting about being human. It's a bit like saying to a fish, "Where's the water?" And the fish is the water, basically. A fish is made out of water. And is swimming all around it and breathing it in, and is that. And the fish wouldn't have the capacity to understand. So, as a physical being, I can perceive the world through 5 senses, but I also have a visceral sense or a higher sense that there are greater energies than just the perception of the five senses. So I can sense that there's something beyond me. I can sense that there is something higher than me, lower than me, but that it is me. You see, we can sense that we're in the water and that we are the water, that we are visible and invisible. But this is a detection system that goes beyond logic. It is the only true stillness there is. And it's not in the body. A lot of people say, well, if you go within, there is no within. There is no inner body. I mean, a gastroenterologist would go in and look at the inner workings of the organs and the stomach and that sort of stuff. But we're talking about something that feels like it's within, but it's not within this world. So there is a perception that seems to be outside of this world. So you can say that the spirit is out of this world, yet you can detect it in this world. It's a bit like knowing that a dog whistle, for example, can not be heard by you, but you can hear it singing in the same way as sort of the sub-undulations of the lower frequencies of the universe. You can feel the bass frequencies. So the entire universe is vibrating from the highest of the high to the lowest of the low, but we can perceive those vibrations. So that means that the stillness that we are must be out of the world. And so there is a way of being outside, but it's not in the sense of being outside of the skin, but outside of the skin and the reality and the senses. So you might say you have higher sensibilities, right? It is the detection system that can detect that energy and matter are one, and spirit and ego are one. And there is nothing that is not you, except maybe this detection system that seems to be out of this world. And people have tried to point to this for eons. And that's what makes a difference, is simply knowing there is no difference. What good does it do us to understand that the day and the night are both alike, that these antonyms are actually the same? It's simple. It helps you to have what I call a first-hand experience. A first-hand experience is experiencing the fear and the darkness and the sinister ways of the universe. It seems like what we fear is just fear itself, right? I think it was FDR who said that. But fear is not scary. Fear is fear. In its own domain, fear is fear. It's just this uncomfortable vibration that if you sit with the fear long enough, it goes away. It's a kind of energy that itself gets still. Now, here's what's interesting about fear that I've noticed, is that the closer you get to it, the more exhilarating it is. It's almost as if the very thing that's trying to keep you away is calling you. And that's the difference between bravery and courage. Courage is the idea that you can overcome fear and you can do something even with the feeling of fear. Bravery is being able to face fear. It's not quite enough. Bravery is you're facing fear. You notice, okay, oh, this is scary, but courage is actually stepping towards it because scariness or fear is invitational. It's invitatory. If you think about it, why are we so attracted to horror movies and death and haunted houses? And like, we hate being scared shitless, but we go and do it anyway. There is a fun, sort of exhilarating weird, counterintuitive call to fear. See, I think if we were truly afraid, we would be unaware of fear. We would not be able to conceive of fear if it were real. Do you see? So any kind of conception is not real, and fear, we conceive of fear as being bad and naughty and sinister, but it's not quite that way, because it calls. The fear calls. Death calls. You know it's inevitable. So in a roundabout way, it's just paranoia. You see? And being able to see through it connects it. That's where the differences cease. You get close enough to it, and you can see it. You can see through it. A lot of it is kind of like being dropped into a dark place, and if you stand still, your pupils dilate. When they dilate, you can still kind of develop night vision, and you kind of realize, all right, the dark is a kind of energy that opposes the light, in the same way that you have a north and a south pole and a magnet. They must go together. And that's where the differences cease. And the logical mind keeps trying to divide the magnet, and when you divide the magnet, you just get a new north and south pole. So somehow faith brings it all together, but it comes from understanding that the physical world is energetic. Spirit is matter. Right? So be careful when you say, I'm not this and not this, I'm not the ego, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not this and I'm not that. To be and not to be are synonyms in the ultimate sense. Conversion, this is all about conversion. You convert from being the compulsive animal to the intentional creature. But no matter what you pin on the reason why you do something, whether it be voluntary or involuntary, or accidental or intentional, it is the same. If you blame this on an accident, or if you credit this being as a meaningful action, you are talking about the same thing. The ego made me do it. The devil made me do it. I was scared out of my mind. Whatever that is, there's a that comes from the original source. It's all energy. Dark and light. Two poles of the same pulse. Impulse, compulse, intention. One just seems to be a bit deeper, and you convert from a shallowness to a deeper understanding that there are frequencies you can't hear. There are sights you can't see. There's a spirit in the air. And matter and spirit are one. The spiritual world and the physical world are two dimensions of the same. And so when it says to be still, the only stillness is somewhere in a realm hard to point to. And when you observe yourself from that stillness, you create a buffer that helps you not get mesmerized by the physical world. And you get to do things that once scared the shit out of you. Because what scares you now creepily and titillatingly says, come here. You move into the fear and you experience the darkness firsthand. And you understand, oh, there's nothing to be afraid of. So these religious figures like Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad, they become intermediaries and say, hey, there's nothing to be afraid of. That's because most people have not experienced the fear firsthand. Most of us experience reality as a second-hand phenomenon. We have not taken action with fear. We have not transcended fear and realized it's all paranoia. What you're afraid of is you. Move towards it and see. I'm not talking about jumping off of a building. Gravity is going to kill whomever, even the Savior of the world. If Jesus had jumped off a cliff, he'd be dead meat. Because this is an indescribable. I'm not talking about being stupid. I'm talking about leaning into the fear of the future, which is not real. So differences come together in a visceral, palpable, very deep intuitive sense. And rather than avoiding fear, you sit with it and think, why am I so afraid? What am I afraid of? Asking this person out, spending my money, moving to another country, going to the gym, taking my shirt off at the beach. Whatever this weird inhibition is, you have to understand it's fake. Fear is fake because it dissolves. The differences cease because you realize you're in the water. You're being held by it. You're surrounded. You're held by this stillness, or this presence, which you just like, wow, I am that presence, but it's also all around me. I'm not a piece of the presence. I am the presence. I'm the entire ocean. And a wave at the same time. And when you bring all that together, it's the most exhilarating thing because you get to do things that once scared the shit out of you. And now it's kind of like, oh, what was I afraid of? And there's a certain amount of playfulness that comes when differences cease. And you do things with a great deal of carefreeness. It's not carelessness, it's just carefree. You love your fate. You realize you can't go wrong because you're all of it, you see. And there's no more mistakes or wrong turns or any difference between you and the ocean. That's what's so neat about the cessation of difference. It saves you from the things that you used to think were holding you back. I hope these insights helped you in seeing differences and making them synonymous. A lot of it is sitting with the fear until it dissolves and you realize, oh, it's just fear. It's an uncomfortable energy. That's it. And then when you get that clarity, you'll be able to make decisions that once felt like they were holding you back. No more difference. My name is Ryan. I hope that you enjoyed these insights. Please check out my blog, mymorningmotivator.com, or one of my books on Amazon. Thanks for watching.